I'll entertain the motion to come back in to open session out of executive session.
So move.
All right, have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, I'll start with Mr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, I'd like each board member to certify that we spoke on what we went into closed session for, whereas the Carroll County Board of Supervisors conveyed a closed session this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and on the motion to close the meeting in accordance to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires certification by the Board of Supervisors that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Carroll County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempt from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were heard, discussed, or considered in closed session to which this certification applies, and only such business matters as were identified in the motion by which this closed session was conveyed were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting to which this certification applies. We went in closed session under A8, A1, A3, and A29. Asked each member to certify if they agree with this. Mr. Early,
I so certify.
Mr. Collins,
I so certify.
Mr. Hill,
I so certify.
Mr. McCraw,
I so certify.
Mr. Dixon,
I so certify.
and I so certify. At this time, I'd ask Mr. Collins if he'd lead us in the invocation and pledge.
Father, thank you for this opportunity to be in this place to do the business of the county. We pray for your leadership, your guidance, your direction. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, I'd like to amend the agenda to remove and under new business, Section D, National Fallen Officers Day. That was for the county to budget money to send some officers to Washington this week for Police Week in honor of Deputy Curtis Bartlett that lost his life serving our community. So they're going to be able to send some officers. So that's good. So we will remove that from the agenda and discussion. And moving on to the regular agenda, FCCLA recognition, Susan Rose and Madison Connor and Gretchen Seacrest. Ms. Rose, could I ask you to speak to the citizens a little bit? It's just a cheat sheet for me. Yeah, if you would, just maybe to the board and to the citizens of what these young ladies did.
FCCLA is Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, what you might have known when you were in school as Future Homemakers of America. And it has evolved through the years. Gretchen and Madison competed in the State Leadership Conference in National Programs in Action Community Service. They received silver medals. They did a great job. They actually planned and carried out a drive-through chili supper that raised over $1,500. And we supported 4 families at our school who had lost homes to fire, a student whose parent was incarcerated with no fault of her own, and she was put with a grandparent who had no way to support her, and another family that had a crisis come along. So we raised money for them, and they presented that and represent Carroll County very, very well.
Awesome. So to the citizens and to the young ladies, first is Gretchen Seacrest. It's certificate of recognition proudly presented to Gretchen Seacrest for their hard work and dedication representing Carroll County at the FCCLA state competition. Thank you. And second, Madison Connor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been really good the last 3 months of the board meetings to honor our kids in high school. It's been a privilege to get them in here and see their hard work and what they're doing for us. And, you know, I think Carroll County's in good hands, and we want to try to keep up the honoring our kids and the board moving forward. And so I think with school getting out, we don't have no more, you know, recipients of any awards from the school. So we're going to, each board member bring in one business a month throughout the rest of the year. And for June, I would start with Mr. Early, if it would be okay, if you could bring in a business and we'll honor them, and we'll move on down. And then I think in December, we'll all 6 bring in somebody for the last meeting of the year. So. All right, moving on to the agenda, public hearing for the VDOT 6-year road plan. I think Lisa and Mr. Lefford are both here tonight, so good to see y'all. Thank y'all for coming.
Thanks. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. This hearing is being held today in accordance with Section 33.2-331 of the Code of Virginia, which requires a joint effort of the county officials and the Department of Transportation personnel for the tentative commitment of estimated available secondary construction funds beginning with fiscal year 2023. And a copy of the proposed 6-year plan and priorities for the secondary construction budget for 2023 through 28 have been available for public viewing at the county office, and a copy is on display here. And after receiving the request today, the board, you all, and VDOT will finalize the 6-year plan. What we'll do is take the comments and you know, make some recommendations, and I'll get those back to you for your consideration next month. I did want to let you know that currently what we plan on constructing this fall, paving, are Route 620, Colson Church Road. That's a little intersection site distance improvement project there at Mount Zion that we plan to get done this year, advertised late this fall. And another daylighting a curve on Brushy Fork Road. We've got to get right away on that, but we're working on that also. The paving projects are Scenic View Road, Loafer's Rest, Broadway Lane, Mount Carroll Road, Old Appalachian Trail, and Millstone. Those are the projects we hope to get completed this year. And what I'll do now, I'll read the names of the people that have asked to speak, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you.
First one is Marianne McCracken.
I just wanted to address the need to have a road put on the rural road program. And it's Laurel Mountain Lane. It's off of Buckwoods Road. I believe it's 635, I think, is Laurel Mountain Lane. It leads into a subdivision, which 13 years ago, there wasn't a lot of people living in there. And it's grown. We have a lot more traffic, construction going on in there. And the road just seems to, it gets worse. They come and work on it. And then 2 days later, the potholes are back in. So we just are trying to get put on that list for in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Spencer.
Yeah, I'd like for you to consider Park Bridge Road. It's 908, and it's in the Laurel Fork District. It's got some attractive features for the rural rustic project. It's only 0.4 of a mile in length, and it's dead end, which I understand is attractive for the rustic project. Local traffic, and of course, this school bus and mail. The existing alignment is adequate. This includes both the vertical and the horizontal. So from my understanding, this is an attractive feature for a rural rustic project. So there wouldn't be any excavation required. So preparing the road bed for paving should be relatively low cost. And there's no stream crossings, therefore no hydraulics. Also, in addition to the relatively low paving cost, the paving would provide some cost savings over time for the county highway department. There's a couple of reasons for this. Eliminate the cost of running a motor grader over to this road. That's because this road is in a remote location. So it's not just the cost of the periodic grading, it's the cost of getting a motor grader to and from this road. Also, paving it would eliminate the cost of periodic dust control treatment, especially throughout the school year, which I see the truck coming quite a bit for that. So in my view, if we consider all the attractive features of this road, it seems like it's a perfect candidate for the rustic project. And I think this road's just dying to be paved. So thank you for your time.
Afternoon. My name's Nathan Rock. I have some pictures. Am I kind of approach and pass the pictures out?
Yes, sir.
I live on Glade Creek Road. On this road, we have 10 families. It's 8/10 of a mile long. With this road, we also have other owners that own different properties, cattle. I believe there's a couple campers, and so on. And the problem with this road, and of course I'm asking if we can get this road paved, we have a washboard effect, and I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's very annoying and it causes a hazard, especially going up the road on Glade Creek. The road itself has severe problems when it starts to rain. It gets real muddy. There's been a time or two where our cars got stuck just because of just the mud going up and down the hill. Going to the pictures that I'm just passing out, back in 2019, I was here and to express my concerns with this. And to draw back memory, I used the example of a rescue squad come down the road. On the middle of Glade Creek, there's this bridge. And I'm not sure what it's made out of. I'm not an engineer. But it's just gravel, and then there's a tunnel, and then there's water. The example that I used in 2019 was safety concerns, because that bridge goes out quite often. In August 18th of 2021, a school bus was going down the road. The night before, we had some heavy rain. That school bus was going down 7 o'clock in the morning, got to the bridge, and the gravel gave way. The bus went down just to the axles. There were 9 passengers on the bus, 1 being a driver. There was no injuries, but we had to get get the passengers off the bus through the back of the door. This is a concern. It's a safety hazard. Again, I am asking if we could pave this road for that reason.
Lisa, could I ask one question, please? Is that the road that's already on the plan? Okay. Yeah, it's number 10, and we're going to go 2 through 8 this year, so it would be second in line.
So I guess on that note, I would ask if it could stay on the list and get done in
Yeah, we
some type
want to
of
take them off.
hurry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so.
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for your time.
I just wanted to make you aware that it is.
Yeah, and I heard through the grapevine, but that's the grapevine.
I understand. Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that everybody's aware and we're on the same page.
Got you.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Ed Stanley from Lower Fork District. I live on Groundhog Mountain Roads. That's State Route 633. And I'm asking for a section of that to be improved and paved just a half mile. It's located, the part I'm asking for is located between State Route 639 East and 639 West. 639 East is being Spencer's Mill Road, and 639 West being Little Bit Road. It's only a half-mile section. Those two roads, Spencer's Mill and Little Bit is already paved, so this would just tie in with the existing paved roads. This section of road gets pretty rough and with potholes and all, gets washed out right bad in heavy rain. Also, that's our way out in the wintertime when it snows and the parkway is closed. So I appreciate your consideration of getting this done.
And it is actually number 9 on the list.
Oh, it's already in the
Yeah,
list?
it's
Thank
next,
you.
first one for next year.
I
Yeah.
wasn't
So-
aware of that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Just making you aware.
New experience for me. Thank you for a few minutes of your time. I'm Wanda Cock. I live on Hidden Valley Road. It's a 1-mile gravel dirt road in the Laurel Fork District. I grew up there. We built our house there. I've lived almost all my life there. Things have changed over the years. More houses have been built. Farming operations have certainly changed because now heavy equipment comes in to cut hay, and then of course later the hay is transported out using the road. We now have deliveries from UPS and FedEx, and so there's a lot of changes, more traffic, more people. If you've ever lived on a dirt gravel road, you understand that we deal with either dust or mud all the time. In addition, we have, as you've heard before, we get some of the washboard effect, and potholes form, and living on a gravel road also does a lot of damage to vehicles just in their use. And VDOT does a really good job trying to take care of us. But at the end of the day, it's still a gravel and dirt road. A neighbor had planned to come and speak, but he had an unexpected conflict, and I do have another neighbor present. But when in talking with neighbors, and over the years, and we talk about, well, we really wish that our road would be paved. And then we hear about the rural rustic program, and we think, oh, well, our road is a good candidate for that. We, like Bob, think our road would probably require a minimum of preparation for that kind of surfacing. We're not on the same road, of course, but we do have probably some attractive reasons for pave in place. And, we've been waiting our turn, but it occurred to me, no one is asking. No one knows that we want or need our road paved. So, on behalf of myself, family, and neighbors, I'm asking, please pave our road. I plan to submit a request and signatures to my supervisor and VDOT with a request and signatures, and just to let them know that I'm not the only one asking to please include Hidden Valley Road, road number 922, in the 6-year plan for paving under the rural rustic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
I'm in receipt of your letter. Thank you. I drove your road yesterday.
Thank you.
You're right. It would require minimal preparation. There are 2 bridges on that road, correct?
3.
3? Okay. You mentioned there were 11 houses, I think?
Yes.
Are you counting the houses beyond the in-state maintenance?
Well, I'm counting all of the houses that have to access Hidden Valley Road.
Because you get the in-state maintenance, there's a road that goes off to the right.
Well, it's just a driveway, essentially.
Yeah, but
It's
there-
like we have a Mount Bunny Lane that
Okay.
access some houses, and then that one. We don't have any other way out, but, all the property and all the houses
Okay.
are accessed by Hidden Valley Road.
Well, I'm aware that you want it paved. I got your letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know where you've got it on the list or not. It's Rocky Ford Road. It's not. I heard rumors it was, but it didn't get done. We've got a new family below us there, and they got 3 kids that go to school, and they have to carry them out to the end of the driveway, probably half a mile to their house to get on. And they also have a son that's 12, 14-year-old that's a complete invalid, and it would be nice if they had a better driveway to the house. Our driveway is about 3/4 mile long, and it would be nice if you could help us out on the driveway. There's 5 houses on the road. Well, I'd appreciate it if you would. Okay.
And it would be really good if you could pave the road sometime or another, or there's a lot of traffic on the road with 5 houses, and it's just, we just feel for the people that live down below us. We can go on to our house on a dirt road, but the people that live down below us with the handicapped boys, and it breaks your heart if you see them out in the yard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, what was the name of that road again?
We ask you where that's located.
Which community is it in?
That's sad. Everybody knows where it is when you say Booger Hollow.
And our last speaker is David Boatman.
Might be off Paul's Creek.
Mhm.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of some elderly people on road number 911. It's paved. It just has a pothole that's 2 foot by 4 foot by 8 inches deep. School buses, when they come up through there, they have to kind of get over to get around, trash trucks as well. And that just worries the death out of these little old ladies that have asked me to come.
What road is that?
Street number 911. It's right there in Woodlawn. So if y'all can just look at it or put it on. I've called VDOT. They've all said that they have called, but it's been 3 years and it just keeps getting deeper. I've offered to pay to fix it, but they said I cannot do anything with fixing the state road. It has to be state people. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Lisa, I've got a couple I'd like to add too as well. The
Okay.
People that's contacted me that couldn't be here tonight. One of them being Waterview Road. I think it was on the plan back years past and it got took off.
Okay.
And Suffintown Road, 756.
Mm-hmm.
I want, VDOT to consider just 1.29 miles of that road. I went with Brad and he wheeled it off, and that's as far as I feel that we
Okay.
should look at going. And outside of rural rustic, which I know, Dave and Will and the staff would do all they can for us, but, I'm getting a lot of concern at the intersection of 100 there, since the Dollar General's come there. Maybe see if we can look at something to slow the speed limit down or do something, I know your hands are tied and limited on that too, but a lot of citizens have reached out about the congestion and stuff, especially with schools and stuff in the morning and evenings and stuff right there, so. I don't know if there's anything you can possibly help us do on that, but just,
All right, we'll
see if you
we'll
can.
certainly see. Yes,
all right,
sir.
thank you.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm sure some of the other board members probably have some that will open it up to.
Yeah, can we look at the 620 in Oak Grove, that bad curve there, right where everybody's got to turn to go down to the school?
Mm-hmm.
We can daylight it or do something with the piece
Okay.
of that property. And appreciate what you did on Airport Road. You fixed it where the trucks don't get stuck now.
They did a really good job, didn't
Yep.
they?
They sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Thank you. I'll be sure to pass that along.
Lisa,
Yes, they did.
Dickey Drive from, which is 815, from Martha's Knob to Coal Creek.
Okay.
And this is a safety issue that I got. They've put up signs on traveling west on 97 coming from Galax. They've put up signs that direction about 620 not being recommended for truck traffic down Lambsburg.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need some coming from the Fancy Gap direction, because we seem to get more truck traffic that tends to want to go down Lambsburg coming from that direction than we do from the Galax direction. Thank you.
All right.
Lisa, I've got Lakeview Drive in Cana. That's off Paul's Creek Road. That's one that was on the 6-year plan at one time and got kicked off for some reason. Got Colonial Road that was requested in Fancy Gap. And then the other one, they talked about it when they came and talked about Old Appalachian Trail, which is on the plan. Misty Trail,
Okay.
that meets that. They had spoken with somebody and said that it'd be a whole lot cheaper while they were out there to just get the rest of that, which is a very small portion, is my understanding.
And I have a couple also. I also received an email from Bob Spencer. Thank you for that. Those folks that came, I feel like if you would take a look at the roads that they mentioned. Also, I was contacted by several people about roads. I had a total of 10 different roads that I drove yesterday, about 100 miles worth of driving, taking a look at all these, but I didn't mind doing it. Winding Ridge Road past the Fancy Gap Elementary, where it turns to gravel all the way up to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good connector. I think it should probably be paved. Poplar Hill, 662 from Burks Ford all the way to Nestor School Road. It's only 0.6 miles, but that road is in terrible shape, and it runs right alongside of the creek. And it's just full of potholes all the time. During the wintertime, it's got ice. And you all spend a lot of time and money, I think, trying to keep it passable, but you just about have to put it in four-wheel drive to get through there sometimes.
Right.
That's how bad it is. And then another road that has an area that's not paved is 664 Silverleaf from 660 Waxy Ridge Road out to 638. That is 1.5 miles. If you could take a look at that, that's a good connector, from 638 to 58, so it should be paved as well. River Road at one time was on the 6-year plan, but it was removed. The money went somewhere else is how I heard about it. Do you have any idea what might have happened with River Road?
No, I don't, unless it was traffic count. And I failed to mention this earlier, we get an average of $500,000 probably a year right now. Hopefully that'll go up in the future, but so are prices. And we can only do, it takes us about $300,000 right now to do a mile of road. It depends on the complexity of it, the pipe, or, little bit of few variables, but basically it's $300,000 a mile. But a lot of times if we can't fund, we try to only prioritize projects that we can actually fund in a 6-year time period. So I'm imagining that's what happened to that.
Okay. And I've got several other roads. Some of them are dead ends. Some of them have no houses on them. Is it worthwhile bringing those up now?
You can feel free to do that, or you can email them to me, or
Okay.
call me, text me, and I'll look at those as well.
Well, explain to me the process just a little bit. The more roads you submit, the less likely you are to get maybe your number one priority. Is that?
No, what we'll do, we'll look at all these requests and kind of look at their suitability for the rural rustic concept, and you know what that is. It's just paving really what's there. So we like to have at least 16 feet and, somewhere we can get decent ditches in.
Yeah.
And wouldn't be a safety hazard if we paved it. We've done some pretty narrow projects. Most of them are suited to the rural rustic paving, but we'll look at that and then kind of prioritize based on traffic count.
Okay.
The boards have, in prior years, have agreed to do that, is look at them from a traffic count perspective. Now, to go a little further, you get unpaved road funds. You get, this year is $409,000 in unpaved road funds, like $82,000 in telefee. The unpaved road funds can only be used on roads that are 50 vehicles a day and greater. That's in Code Virginia for unpaved road funds. So if we try to do roads that are less than 50 vehicles, we kind of got to use a small amount of telefee and accumulate it over the years to get enough to do it. So
we got to get everybody that lives out there to keep driving
to
back
keep
and
driving.
forth.
keep driving. But yeah, you all don't have any problems with that, with your traffic count. Everything mostly we've looked at in the last few years have been over 50.
Okay.
But again, that's one thing I'll review when I look at these.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and mention the other road.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Dust Trail, it's 654 from Laurel Fork Road out to 58. It's 1.3 miles.
It's on there.
Is that already on there?
It's
Is it on there?
I think so, yeah.
11?
Oh, it is? Okay.
Mhm.
Well, forget that. Ben Ridge Road, from I think it's 639 to 640 Keno Road. It goes, I forget where it starts, but it's pretty obvious where the gravel is, all the way out to Keno Road.
Okay.
That one had no houses on it, and it's a very narrow road. I don't know if it would qualify or not. And we got that, and then Walton Branscombe Road, that's also a dead end. It's about a mile, 1 mile of gravel. It goes from 58 to a dead end. I don't have the road number, I don't think. But it's off 52 out there on the way to Fancy Gap, across from where the fabric shop used to be.
Okay.
Bob White used to live down there.
Who did?
Yeah,
Bob White.
long time ago.
Bob White.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. If I missed any, I will email them to you.
That'll be fine. We'll be working on these and get them to you by your next meeting.
Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa,
Mr. Dix.
Millstone Road that's on here, is it to be paved the whole length, or is it someone told me it's getting cut off?
It is.
Harrison Ridge?
It's already kind of, we've got, doing a long section, I think it's like 1 mile and 2/10. So
Okay.
we had to break it up. We really couldn't do the whole thing in one
Okay.
swap.
I'd like to have that, if we can add it to
Okay,
finish the project. And Daisy Road off of Forest Oak is the only other one I have this time.
okay. It's 1 mile and 7/10.
Okay.
We're doing on Millstone, so it's a pretty big section, but it doesn't get it all.
Right, okay, thank you.
And I did forget one. It's Marion Road, 661. It's, the total length is, about 3 miles. But if there's any portion of that you could do where the traffic counts,
Okay.
would you have to do the whole thing at one?
No.
Okay. And outside of that, I would also like to echo what the chairman mentioned about 100 and 221. I think there should be a stoplight there. And then another great place for a stoplight would be on 58 Industrial Drive. 4 o'clock coming out of there, it just lined up traffic trying to get across the 4 lane to head towards Galax. And then one other item, which I've done this before on Airport Road, got the speed limit changed, but on Old 58 going out to the east end of the bypass where it goes from whatever down to 35, does it really need to be 35 for that length of distance? Could it not be 45? There's nothing out there except one house, 2 houses.
And let me talk about signals for just like 1 minute. We've got signal warrants, and we look at intersections, and we look at accident data and traffic counts, but we have a lot of criteria we look at to determine whether an intersection needs a signal or not. But what we do now that has been a practice for, I don't know, the last 5 or 6 years, we look at other alternatives before we do signalization. So we want to keep traffic flowing. There's all kinds of innovative intersection designs that we can do in lieu of a signal. We're looking at the same thing there at Colson Church Road and 58. And that's, you all have requested that to be studied and submitted as a smart scale project. And Mike has been working on that, looking at some ways to improve the safety there. So signal's not really the go-to answer. We need to look at different things before we hit that one. So, but I'll be glad to do that on these intersections and see if there's any other thing we can do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ledford, and Mr. Dotson for coming tonight. We appreciate y'all. All right. We'll open the public hearing for drug treatment license ordinance at 6:55. Okay. All right. I'll start with David Boatman.
I ask that y'all pass the ordinance for the methadone Suboxone distribution. It's a good step in the right direction. Do realize that it was not on the COPN that they're going to do that, but at least if it's another facility or if they change their mind coming into Carroll County, everyone would have to play by the new rules, and it's a good move. And I thank y'all for it. Please pass it.
Thank you. I think it's Sally Marshall.
I just want to repeat what I've been saying about safety and being afraid to stay in my own home. I'll excuse me, I'm hoarse. And I support the fact we need a fence around that place. I think it would help tremendously. And I want to say that I agree with everything that Mr. Boatman has said about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa Brady. All right. All right. I'll close the public hearing at 6:57 and entertain a motion to approve this ordinance to replace the emergency ordinance that is in place.
I so move.
All right, I have a motion. To have a second?
Second.
Are there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the vote with Mr. Early. Yes. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. McCraw?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right. Next on the agenda is the National EMS Week. I'm looking for that board resolution. All right, thank you, Mr. Dixon. EMS proclamation to designate the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as Emergency Medical Services Week, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate for those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine, and whereas the emergency medical service system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical service teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continued education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value of the accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week now, therefore the Carroll County Board of Supervisors, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as Emergency Medical Services Week. I entertain a motion to make this proclamation.
So move.
All right, have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Are there any discussion? But the only discussion I would say is I would like to thank all of our emergency service responders that take care of our citizens every day. It's a rare breed of people that do that and leave the comforts of their bed and 2 o'clock in the morning to help us, and they're vital to our community, and we greatly thank them. So with that, I'll start the voting with Mr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. McCraw?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next on the agenda is citizen time. David Riggin.
Good afternoon or good evening, gentlemen. Appreciate this time to come and talk to you. As a relatively new transplant in your beautiful county, Southwest Virginia, I've been here about 3 years, and just to let you know, I found you from 3,000 miles away, packed up a business, screaming wife, cats, dogs, and horses, and have enjoyed every moment of being here. Real quick history on me, I am a Yankee by birth, but now a rebel by choice. Grew up in Michigan, joined the military, went to California, and visited for 40 years. Spent the last 17 years there in a Northern California community, which houses Lake Tahoe. So now you understand the mountains. One thing I want to share with you this evening, and forgive me, you guys are very intelligent. I no means want to come here tonight and tell you something you probably don't know. But something I gleaned in my 40 years of living in California, of those 40 years, I've spent, 42 years, I spent 39 years in construction. I'm a plumber by trade. I watched unimaginable growth in California that nobody here, unless you lived out there, can perceive how immense and how quickly it happened. So what I'm here to do today is share an analogy that some wonderful, intelligent person exposed me 2 years ago. And let me start by saying, not only did I find you from 3,000 miles away, as you know, people are finding this area of Southwest Virginia from all over the demographics of this country. Clean air, clean water, beautiful place to live, low cost of living. The secret's out, folks. They're coming. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of them are already here. That age demographic typically seems to be of retirement age, I would say 55 and up, which is a very attractive age group, in my opinion, because we've lived our life, we've gotten past our wants, spending money on whatever we wanted, and now we kind of don't spend so much money because we live by our needs. Well, at this age in my life, and I can tell you, having a lovely wife who's used to nice restaurants, many avenues of some type of entertainment, we come here without the intention of changing you or dragging you into the new century, but having you understand what I experienced before is happening, is going to continue happening at a faster rate in our area. So what I'd like to do is share an analogy about what's happening, because progress is here and it's coming, and we have a choice. And I came from the country in Michigan. We never wanted our little area to grow up. We liked it quiet, we liked it rural, we wanted it our way. That's not reality. That beautiful place you lived in is found and people are coming. So here's how I look at it. We can benefit from what's here and what's coming. I'll talk a little faster.
Yeah, well, let's wrap it up.
We can benefit by understanding it and controlling it, because if we ignore it, it's still going to come and we won't benefit from it. And the simplest analogy is the cell tower. Everybody's heard about Farmer A that put up a cell tower and he's getting a check every month. But Farmer B said, no, I'm not going to look at this cell tower. That thing is ugly. I don't want to see it. Well, guess what? Farmer B still sees that cell tower, but Farmer A is getting the check.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw counties in Northern California that said, we are not accepting businesses, we're not accepting subdivisions and things like this. And right at the border, you look over this hill, there's everything this county said they wouldn't take, but they still see it and they get none of the money. The example I can put to you is a lot of my entertainment money goes to Mount Airy. Again, I don't want to change the beauty we live in, but somehow we got to manage it. I think it's important for us to look, as a business owner, I think it's important for us to look at ways to incentivize providing a positive outlook for this growth. And as I look around, y'all are about my age, and I know your wives occasionally like to go out and be pampered. It's not disco days back in the day, but maybe I take her a place to go dancing, a couple different choice of different tastes of food, restaurants and stuff like that, other sources of entertainment. And by incentivizing other businesses to come here, we will make up that incentive by tax revenue, by more people coming in, by property taxes. The great thing is then we're going to provide jobs for those existing families with young people coming up. But then we will have to provide some housing for those people to stay here. And at that, it'll be a cycle that will not stop. But I'm here to implore you, don't ignore what's happening, because it's going to happen whether we like it or not, and we should not be old guard mentality and miss out in controlling it in a proactive way versus dealing it with a reactive way. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Regan. Mary Ann McCracken?
I think so.
Jalea? Okay. Mr. Boatman, did you wish to speak citizens' time? All right.
Thank y'all for allowing me so much time this evening on different topics. June 2021, Supervisor Rex Hill instructed the Planning Commission to come up with a zoning ordinance to address the rehab coming. He ordered it to be done within 100 days. This was seconded by Supervisor Robbie McCraw. June of last year. It's been over 100 days. I would very much like, maybe not right now, but at least some type of response this evening on where we are with that. The motion was made, 100 days has well passed. I also asked this board to get a second opinion on another ordinance that is in your possession that you have. It is good that you are looking at it. It's good that you did an ordinance tonight. Other people have stated to this board besides myself that the county has a right and is a possibility to go after the state on the way this sale was handled. And it may be happening. I hope it is. But as a citizen, I've not seen it yet. I would very much like to see some type of action on that. If you remember, I've been coming here for over a year speaking about this, and for over a year, the county attorney has instructed y'all and the last board that nothing can be done. The state's handling it. Can't really do anything. Yet, tonight I just watched y'all actually pass an ordinance to protect the citizens on one aspect of it. I ask that you not stop there, that you continue working on that, and that you look at getting a second opinion somewhere. Not every one person has the answers. I know that I don't. But if I hear something, I don't like it, or I do like it, I'll ask for a second opinion. What's it hurt? Thank thank y'all for still working on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sally Marshall? Okay. Teresa? Okay, all right. All right. Moving on to the agenda, approval of the April 11th and April 25th meeting. If somebody entertain a motion for adding both of them, or if they want to break them out, whatever the board desires.
I'll make a motion, we approve both.
All right, I have a motion to approve April 11th and April 25th meetings. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, are there any discussion? Let's start the voting with Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of payment of invoices.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the payment of invoices.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, are there any discussion? I'll start the vote with Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Next on the agenda to, under new business, to adopt the school budget for fiscal year 2022 through 2023. I'll entertain a motion to adopt this.
I make a motion, we table this till
All
next month.
I have a motion that we table it for till June meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll start the vote with Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
and I vote yes. I entertain a motion to adopt the county budget for fiscal year 2022 through 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table this,
All right, I have a motion that we table it till June meeting.
June meeting, yes.
All right, I have a motion that we table it to the June meeting. Are there second?
Second.
All right, are there any discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll start the vote with Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Next under new business, section C, set a tax levy. I'll entertain a motion to set the tax levy.
I make a motion, we accept the tax levy as advertised.
All right, I have a motion that we set the tax levy as advertised. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if we set this, we've talked about the vehicle rates. Can somebody explain what can happen with those after these are set?
Mr. Watson?
You know, there's been some discussion about the rates and the increased values for the real estate, for the personal property. One of the things that can happen is we could direct our Commissioner of Revenue in order to use the new legislation that will carve out from personal property the vehicles such as trucks, cars, also business trucks, business vehicles, those type things. We can pass an ordinance, the Board of Supervisors can pass an ordinance to establish a new section in order to break them out, and then later on in the year, we can adjust the rate to a lower rate in order to compensate for higher increases. So what the process will be doing is we approve these rates tonight. Once we go through the process, work with Commissioner of Revenue to get the values, and then hopefully change the rate to adjust in the future to bring the rates down to a closer to last year's figure. So that's one option that could happen.
And those would be able to be adjusted before the taxes are billed for those actually in the end of the year, right?
I believe that's the intent. What would happen is the Commissioner of Revenue would get the book ready for personal property, we'll be able to present it to the board. The board could look at the increase in personal property that would be sent out to the individuals in August, September range, and then, and I don't know the dates that would be, but would be able to do that. We could go through the same process as far as advertising the rate, as long as it's done before the book is presented to the treasurer's office.
All right, and do we need to pass that ordinance tonight?
We'll have to develop an ordinance. We'll work on it and see if we can get it at the next meeting.
Will we have to have a public hearing for that ordinance as well?
You would. You would always have the,
We've been talking about that this evening, and there is a code section that was given to us saying that the governing body shall approve the budget and fix a tax rate for the budget year no later than the date in which the fiscal year begins. But there's also another code section that allows the Board of Supervisors to adjust it until the book is presented to the treasurer's office. That's what I'm being told.
that used to apply only to real estate, but the 2022 amendments includes personal property in the ability to amend the tax rate as well.
And at what point are those books usually presented?
So I guess the question would be brought up, do you think you can prepare them and have enough time to make that change in the personal property rate between now and by the time you can find that amount that it increases and do the rate change? So would you be able to let us know when you're at that finish point? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
Middle of September?
And you have to have that 90 days before. Okay.
so you need the rate set now.
So if we set it in the middle of July, that still gives you time to get it to her in September. Yeah.
You have up to 90 days, is that what you're saying, to do that? How much time, how quickly can you get it done?
Which I don't think we're in question on anything except for that personal property vehicle.
That's
the only thing we can change, take out of the personal property. We can't add any other categories or separate them under that state statute. We can separate personal vehicles, but can we do business and separate all those as well?
That's a different statute, but yes.
I have a motion to set the levy as advertised, and I have a second. Are there any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the voting with Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
No.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
yes.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. That is on.
That's everything.
Motion on real estate.
Everything that
and
was
personal
advertised.
property, yes. All right. Moving on to the agenda, entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So move.
All right. Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
All right. Are there any discussion? I'll start the voting with Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, next, committee appointments. I entertain a motion for any of the committee appointments. I think there was one for broadband, maybe not so much a committee appointment, but for Jody.
I make a motion that we place Jody Early on the broadband committee.
All right, have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, are there any discussion? I'll start the voting with Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
I'll abstain.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, next on the agenda is board member comments. I'll start with Mr. Collins.
Okay, if Justin, can you show us that picture on the screens, or whoever's got control of that? The litter task force met for the first time a couple of weeks ago. We had planned to meet tomorrow night, but Ronald is not able to meet, so we're going to change. What we said the litter task force would do would be to come together and come up with ideas and then present them to this board for yes or no or comments or whatever, and it's disappeared. But what that group, that's pretty, no litter.
Clean water.
Here we go.
Yeah.
What the group decided that they would like to do for right out the gate was to do basically what is an awareness campaign where we can share this with through social media and through flyers and through the county website, anywhere we can post it, because we've already had so much interest in people adopting roads that we do an Adopt a Road program, which is already done. It's just really us promoting it. So if we have no problems with this, we'll go forward with it. Linda Gaines is our contact with VDOT. She's the one who takes care of anybody who wants to adopt a road. And just so everybody knows, one of the big questions that's asked is there's a road that was adopted in our neighborhood 25 years ago and everybody died and they're not cleaning it anymore. If that's the case and you know of a road like that, Linda said just to let her know and she would investigate it. And if sure enough there's not people that are still wanting to clean that road, then they'll give it to somebody else. So I don't know what we need to do as far as with bringing this to the board. It's not anything that's going to cost us any money. Just need to know that if everybody's okay with it.
Turn it over to the chairman of the committee.
The chairman of the
committee, whoever.
litter task force. Well, they're good to go with it. We had said we'd bring everything to the board before we do anything. So
My take is they're appointed by us.
Okay.
Satisfied with it, pay on.
All right. I mean, my hat's off to them for going to work and making the flyer. They've done a lot of good work. We've had a lot of trash cleaned up already. You may have seen some of the pictures in Cana. Probably been 3 or 4 weeks ago now. There were 50 bags of trash picked up off of Apple Ridge and Brush and Fork, and it didn't put a dent in it. 25 tires. It's amazing. A lot of the community folks around there have been cleaning up garbage. So anyway, we'll move forward with that, and we'll meet again soon.
Quick question before you get off of that.
Yes.
Is VDOT providing the big orange bag?
VDOT provides all the bags.
Okay.
They provide, and Ronald will have those. They provide bags. They provide vests. Couldn't tell you what else they provide, but and they do pick them up. Yeah, you bag it and leave it on the side of the road and let them know where it's at, and they pick it up. Just want to celebrate some new businesses. We did do a ribbon cutting today in Fancy Gap, Blue Ridge Ceramics, and more. If you don't know anything about that business, get out there and visit with them. Scott has just opened that business. He's doing a lot of classes, working with special needs students. He's going to offer a wedding venue there. He's going to offer a place for people to rent out for various different things. So we celebrate that. Fancy Gap Creamery is set to hopefully open in June. Celebrate that. It's going to be ice cream and coffee and sandwiches. And then Fonterra Roots, got to visit with them today. They opened in February. If you haven't been out there, you ought to go. It's outstanding. And just, celebrate the businesses. We're working with trying to get some of those business owners together and talk with, remind me of the girl's name, with
Tourism.
Yeah, with tourism.
Whitney.
Yes. Whitney and I had a great conversation today, and we're going to work with that group and talk about how we can get more people stopping in those places. And And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Mr. McCraw?
I don't really have a lot. I just really was excited to see the FCCLA kids come in, get their recognition. It's very important for us to keep recognizing these kids when they're excelling in their fields. I'd like to thank everyone that was here tonight and for all the comments that's been made, and that's about it.
All right. Mr. Early?
I don't have much either. I would again like to thank those that came and spoke about their needs for pavement on their roads. It is a real pain to live on a dirt road and have to continually wash your car all the time. So the Cox and Spencers, thank you for contacting me. I guess you found out about it through the paper or somehow, but I had quite a few phone calls, and I really do appreciate all y'all that came out to talk tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Hill?
Yeah, they cleaned up the Buckwoods the other day on our road. Only problem, they picked everything up. The very next couple of days, there's more trash back out there. You know, it's sad that people see that as you drive along. Well, stop and say thank you for doing it. But then people see that same evening, next day, throw trash. It's just sad that we have that going on. I also want to compliment the Carroll County school system for having an art show at the intermediate school. That was great. Saw a lot of art things that I didn't know. I didn't know anything about scratch art. It's great looking stuff. And I want to appreciate everybody come in tonight and all the employees, what they've done. And that's it.
All right. Mr. Dixon?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming, concern on your roads and all the other business that we had. Thank the staff for what you do. I would like to take a moment to talk about the budget, if it's okay.
Yes, sir.
We have a budget committee that consisted of myself, Supervisor Early, Mike, and Justin, and we've worked since January to present a balanced budget without raising taxes. So when we did the tax levy, we did not raise taxes. It's the same rates as last year. We're able to do this with rising fuel prices, insurance rates, rising cost of medicine for EMS, record inflation, and so on. We have a tough year ahead with record inflation. All three major stock indexes are taking huge hits. We have a shortage on products. We were just cautioned at our last meeting by Davenport, who does finance for a living, to be cautious with our spending due to the record inflation in the economy. We all remember the recession of 2008, and hopefully we're not headed for another recession. But the Fed is raising rates, and 11 out of 13 times that the Fed raised interest rates led to a recession, so it's not looking real good. There's been talk that the county's in the best shape financially than it has been in a long time, and we have more money in reserve than is required. Financially, if we are conservative, we're okay at this time. But we do not have more money in reserve than is required. We do, however, have a CIP plan that we have money set aside for projects. This includes money for broadband, EMS vehicles, lights on Cana ball field, school buses, water and sewer hookup grants, fire trucks, etc. We also have money set aside for our towers and radios. That is the lifeline for our volunteers, EMS, and police officers. These towers and radios are in bad shape. We have no choice but to fix this issue. Our last estimate was $6.5 million. Hopefully we can get it done cheaper. But if you do not have money set aside for projects and do not fund your CIP, when these costs come up, what choice do you have but to raise taxes, which we are trying not to do. We're trying to avoid this at all costs. We've heard Justin. He does a great job. We have financial firms to listen to their advice. Also, a lot of money that's in our budget is ARPA or COVID funds, whatever you want to say, that cannot be used for debt or to balance the budget. The commissioner was here at our last meeting and again tonight and threw some big numbers based on inflation and the rising cost of used vehicles. She asked to reduce the personal property tax on vehicles. She also stated that 75 to 80% of localities are adjusting their rates, but based on the email she sent this week, out of the 132 localities, only 38 have made changes. This equals 29%. If we're going to receive extra based on the value of used vehicles, then I have no problem and think we should help the citizens. But to be good stewards, a few things need to be addressed. The rates she is quoting are based off the record high of January 2022. Friday, May 6th, Cox Automotive put out a report that wholesale vehicles have dropped 6.4% since the January 22 record, and taxes are not due until December. Next, she gave a number of $1.6 or $1.7 million, and I'm assuming this is based on a 100% collection rate, which we average 72%, so you're down to $1 million that quickly. So I feel we need a guaranteed number to work with. I don't want to gamble with the money and gamble with what kind of rate we're going to have. So we have to have an amount, because if we cut and bring in less than needed, then we have to take it out of our reserve and figure out a way to put it back next year. The other supervisors and myself feel we should adopt House Bill 1239. This will give us the opportunity to lower the personal property tax on personal and business vehicles if there's going to be a large increase before the taxes are due. This will also give us and the commissioner more time to finish analyzing the vehicles and come up with a concrete amount number we can work with. Thank you to everyone that has helped work on a solution in our budget, especially Mike, Justin, and Jody. That's all I've got.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dixon. I don't have a lot. I do want to thank VDOT and Lisa and them for coming tonight. And, I know she lives a ways away, but to come and, listen to our concerns from our citizens. It's good to see a lot of citizens come out and speak on during citizens' time and in the rural roads and with the different things that's going on. It's always good to have citizens involved, whether it be in the trash committee, and it's always exciting whenever Crystal sends emails of committee appointments that a lot of people are wanting to take interest in helping in our county. And I want to thank all the board for all they do, and Mr. Durbin, Mike, and Justin, Crystal, and all the county employees. You see them out a lot doing a lot, whether they're asked to work on air conditions or mow the grass. They're always willing to do what they need to do, and you appreciate them. I will ask for a little bit of advice from the lawyer. I would like to set up a meeting with EMS and the fire department with Mr. Watson, and I would like to include myself, Mr. Early, and Mr. Collins. So if I just announce it now, do I need to set a time and a day that we're going to do it, or?
You do need to, because there's going to be 3 members of the Board of Supervisors present, you would need to, I would address it like you would like a special called meeting.
Okay.
You post notice on the county's official website. You'll post a notice of the meeting on the bulletin boards and other locations where notices are typically given. And I always recommend notifying the press as well, although that's not required by code.
Okay.
The only other requirement beyond that is that it be open to the public if anyone wants to come in, and you take minutes if you've got a quorum of the Board of Supervisors present.
Okay. How would the board deem to do it that way, or if Mr. Early and Mr. Collins be willing to do it, I could step aside so we don't have to,
I'm willing to step aside and let you and Mr. Collins do it.
Okay, all right, yeah. I think that would be because, it could be just a last minute kind of deal, trying to get everything set up with everybody involved, so. All right. If that's the case, then Mr. Collins will direct Mike to set up something with Mr. Bergeron and the fire department and try to get something going on that.
In that case, it won't be subject to FOIA, and you can
Right.
just report on to the
Yeah,
board.
let's just do that, because if, trying to get 5 or 6 people lined up, it could be a mess, and also I want to thank our sheriff's department for working to get us some guys to go and remember Mr. Bartlett and the fallen law enforcement officers throughout the United States that during this week is Police Week in Washington, and, it's, they gave the ultimate sacrifice for our community and citizens, and we need to not forget them as well, so.
We lost Mr. Webb back in the early 70s.
Right.
A deputy as well.
Yeah. And so we need to always keep them people lifted up that, like I said, gave the ultimate sacrifice for us and protect us and our families. So with that being said, County Administrator comments?
I don't have any tonight.
All right. County Attorney?
No comments.
All right. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
All right. I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
All right. Are there any discussion? Hear none, I'll start the vote with Mr. Early. Yes. Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
And I vote yes.